There we go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? JTW here with another Xtrades FOMO live stream. It is Thursday, February the 20th. I'm coming to you from underneath a literal foot of snow. We got absolutely dumped on all day and night yesterday, and went out and measured this morning, and literally a foot of snow, which is pretty cool to see. We don't get that kind of weather here in my neck of the woods that often. All right, let me get my screen sharing going. That would probably be good, so folks can follow along on the Discord side of life. Let me get my chat windows kind of situated here. Who's in the mix so far? What's up, Trader Boy? What's up, Silent Dreamer? What is up, Kid Winner? El Rosado. Good to see everybody this morning. Ragnar, Redbeard, like that name. Good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. If you guys don't have the chat window open yet, please go ahead and get that situated for yourselves. I am getting my chat windows kind of situated here. There we go. That looks good. All right, we got Discord and YouTube going side by side. Let's rock and roll. So, start off as we always do. What is up, Veritas? Good morning to you. Glad you're here. Good to see you. What's up, Trader Boy? Good to see you. Thanks for saying good morning. All right, so let's dig in. What are we seeing here on the markets? We are seeing sideways, volatile, choppy action. Oh boy, let me get some of this coffee in. So we are seeing sideways, volatile, choppy action. Like I said, we're still kind of listing sideways. We did try print some new all-time highs on SPY. We still have a little ways to go. Just as a reminder, on ES we do have price action that takes us up to 61.83, so lots of supply overhead that we're trying to fight through. Let's see if we actually may have, if it looks like we may have cleared out this 4-hour supply zone right here. We've had a few candles close. It's just that these two zones are so close together. It does seem to be bouncing off of. And we do have some demand zones that we need to put in real quick, at least some nearby ones. So let's go ahead and flag those real fast too while we're here. I've not caught up on my ES charting. I've had a very hectic week this week. Away from the markets, and then busy day yesterday trying to kind of get everybody in my sphere of influence squared away and remaining productive through being snowed in for a couple of days here, which is, like I said, definitely what we're dealing with. All right, so we've got 4-hour demand right there. I think we might be trying to build one around in here, but it's not, I'm not seeing it yet clearly, so I'm not going to force it. So a little bit of room down there to that demand zone, but I do think we've invalidated that supply zone, and it looks like we essentially have sort of like a chop zone, is what I would call this, where things will probably remain extra choppy, or we'll also see some kind of bounces and rejections. We could see if the price action gets stuck in this range, it could stay sideways. If it gets over, well, it still needs to fight through the supply overhead. So anyway, just trying to kind of set up some drawings on the chart here for some things to keep on watch. Call that a focus area to pay attention to. So yeah, things could get choppy in this 61.45 down to 61.20 range. We've got supply, like I said, overhead. We're running into that selling pressure on NTS a little bit. We have put a demand zone in down below. Ultimately, I'd like to, I mean, technically there's a higher high. There's also sort of technically a lower low though. So, I mean, it's really just sideways choppy. Market looks very indecisive right now. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, individual tickers can perform independent of what the markets are doing. But for me right now, I would say my sentiment is completely neutral, completely sideways. We're waiting for really a break below 61.20 or a break above 61.83 before we see any kind of real directional moves taking place. Again, that's a pretty broad range. You can certainly play within that range and use that to your advantage, especially when it comes to scalping and day trading the indexes. But yeah, it's just very choppy, sideways, uncertain markets dealing with uncertainty kind of behavior is what it looks like to me. All right, so let's get through some trade plan recaps, and then let's get to work on some new trade plans for you folks who are in the crowd this morning. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning. Good to see you here as always, my friend. What's up, Zeus? I see you in the mix. Elias, good to see you. Feel free to say good morning, folks. We do have a little chat window that's part of the live stream, so make sure you've got that open. Also, if you want to start hitting me with any questions or ticker requests you guys have, feel free to start dropping those in the chats. I'm going to start pushing through these trade plan. What's up, C Amigo? I see you typing. I'll start pushing through some of these trade plans that we've got to review, and then we'll get to work on some new trade plans. All right, so sound, we talked about this one already this week. Not much has changed. It's kind of sliding through our range here, still waiting for a break one way or the other. Indicators are moving down on it. That looks to be like it's going to be somewhat of a bearish struggle. Also can see a little bit of a descending wedge pattern, or an upside down bearish wedge pattern forming here on the 15-minute, with this trend line kind of setting up like this, and this one pretty much like this, almost dead flat, which is what makes it look like more of a wedge, kind of like that, which generally that means that this is continuing to ping this area of buyers, and ultimately sellers will take control and buyers will give up, and this will make a push to the downside. Could still ultimately be a pretty small move though, and just bounce and maintain this bottom down here at 1054 and ultimately fight back through that trend line. So keep an eye on this one still, but so far, again, really nothing actionable on SoundHound. Google was also from the member selected trade plans over the weekend. This one we talked about on Tuesday. I think we talked about it looking like it wanted some more downside as we looked at it on the higher time frames. But yeah, ultimately did break down, gave us some nice back test, pushed lower, hit PT1 for puts. So again, that's where you got to make sure that you're taking profits and moving your stops up. What's up, Alex? Good morning to you. We can take a look at Rivian and or Lucid for sure. So going back to this Google trade plan, again, make sure that as we're hitting these price targets that you are taking profits and moving up your stops. Sometimes PT1 is all we get. Google has fought back to the upside since then, but still looks kind of overall bearish and just overextended to the downside, which means, essentially it might just consolidate and accumulate in this area, possibly before pushing lower. But markets are ultimately trending toward the upside, so I'm a little surprised to see Google, not getting a little bit more love than it is, especially down at these levels. It's not bumping up against all-time highs the way some of these other tickers are. Golly, I got to get the yawns out this morning. I swear I'm chugging this coffee as fast as I can. What's up, Israel? Good morning. Good to see you. Yeah, coffee. All right, so Google, again, sideways, bearish. We've gotten some price targets. Trade plans worked out. Just hasn't been sort of a massive move. Shop's another one, just been sideways again. Talking about a sideways market. This one's caught up in that sideways market action. It's making these little dips every once in a while, but again, nothing that's, I think, going to be a real big, sustainable, nice move to trade. So again, just because you see these dips every morning and stuff like that doesn't mean, oh, we've got to try to force and make something happen here. Let these trades come to you. That's probably the best piece of advice I can give any trader, especially any newer trader. Let the trades come to you, especially if we get like a big break where it's like 1 5-minute candle shoots way up above a call entry or a put entry. Don't chase. Don't get sucked into that kind of a FOMO scenario. These live streams are the only FOMO you want in your life. But breaking to the downside, if we get like a real extreme move like that, wait for it to retrace and get a back test and get your entry off the call entry or the put entry or whatever the case might be. And if you don't, that's fine, right? There's plenty of other plans out there. There's plenty of other setups out there. Sometimes we just either miss one because we weren't watching it or miss one because the move happens too fast. That is totally normal. I would rather miss a trade entirely versus getting into a trade and being psychologically disadvantaged because I feel like I am trading, or I know I'm not following my personal rule of letting the trade come to me, right? So as soon as I start breaking my rules, and I think probably everybody experiences this, so maybe a quick side soapbox moment on trade psychology. If you find yourself getting into a trade and as soon as you get into the trade, you realize that like, oh shit, I broke one of my rules getting into this trade. Trade might work out, the trade might not work out, right? But you're already at a psychological disadvantage getting into that trade because you shouldn't be in it in the first place, right? And so when you identify that, I'll leave it up to you whether or not you use that as sort of a opportunity to see, you know what, I'm already at a disadvantage in this trade. Maybe I should just get out of it before this, anything really moves or does anything, directionally. Or, ride it out, but make sure that you make a note for yourself of like that feeling and remind yourself that you don't want to repeat that feeling, right? Getting into a trade and feeling like, shit, I got into this trade. I pulled the trigger because I had that FOMO moment, but I already know what I did and what I did wrong. And I already know that I broke one of my rules. That will eat at you psychologically and screw you up throughout the entire duration of that trade. So, just keep that stuff in mind. Again, trade psychology, one of the harder things to master in the world of trading. So, keep it methodical, keep it based on what's happening on the charts and no more, no less. PLTR, this was a very interesting one with the announcement of the CEO and his plan to sell some shares. But this honestly, for me, looks like a fantastic buying opportunity on PLTR. I don't know if anybody did their homework on sort of what actually happened with that announcement, but essentially, these CEOs, they have to file these plans to sell shares, so there's no accusations or concerns over any kind of insider trading or whatever. It's part of a planned sale of shares that's been in place for a while. What he did was he actually adjusted down the number of shares he's supposed to be selling. So if anything, he had planned to sell more and now he is selling less based on how he kind of foresees the company's future. Now, algos and all other kind of things pick up on things like CEO selling billions of dollars worth of shares and act on that instantaneously without kind of, being able to take the full picture into account as far as, okay, well, what does this actually mean? So I did a little homework on that last night because I was like, whoa, where did that come from? And then I saw the news about the selling of the shares and I was like, well, that's pretty normal standard practice. And so the more I looked into it, I went on to find that, essentially he's selling like $1 billion or so where it's like $1 billion plus worth of shares. I think it was supposed to be closer to like 4 billion worth of shares that he was planned to sell. So, again, I think this is a good buying opportunity if you like PLTR, both near term and long term. They're doing some really interesting stuff. So anyway, PLTR trade plan played out for PT1. We did this one on Tuesday's live stream. And this is the kind of scenario I'm talking about, right? 15 minutes. We did this plan Tuesday morning. I was just talking about this. So great example, right? Shoots right to the upside. If you get caught in that FOMO, you've got a very small little window of profit before we hit PT1 and it rejects, right? So instead of getting in up there, wait for a pullback to one of these levels, right? We got the pullback to the call entry. We also got a nice test and bounce for you to add to that call entry. If you did take it there, add there, and then we made the move back to PT1, right? Before the day closed. So you could have caught that move and been much better off in that scenario versus trying to catch it in this situation, right? So perfect example. We just talked about it. on the prior chart. So I love that this kind of just put itself right in our universe to kind of help illustrate exactly what I'm talking about, right? This is your FOMO moment. These are your let the trade come to you opportunities, and then you feel strategic and methodical, and you can let the plan work out as it should. Obviously, with that being said, PLT is TLR is dumped down to PT3 for puts, and this is one of those, okay, I'm not trading it, I'm not chasing it. Did it play out? Did it work out? If you had chased it, yeah, but how often does this happen versus this happening and you get stuck in a bad rejection? I think anecdotally, most people find themselves in that situation versus getting something and maybe you catch some continuation, but how much continuation, is questionable. So anyway, PLTR plans played out lovely. Nonetheless, technicals worked, even though some or all of it was maybe not actionable. Apple, this trade plan was another one in the mix. Nice bounce I noticed there yesterday off of that stop loss average down 200 SMA confluence. It's trying to break out, but from a Neptune perspective, it's pretty mixed and choppy looking here so far. So, this is still a wait and see for me. I haven't touched it yet personally, but looking for that break over 245.34 to get that call side of the plan working. Things are fighting for upside, it looks like, but just a little bit of a mixed signal sideways looking, which is, again, what we're seeing a lot of, not only in the markets and indexes, but on these individual names. All right. American Airlines, we also did on Tuesday's live stream. This one's sideways ever since, so really nothing to see here. And then I think there was one more that, we did Intel on Tuesday's live stream. Let's see where Intel is at. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Intel broke and started tapping price targets. I forgot about that. Now, I've been in shares for a little bit, not for too long, so I'm just riding my shares on Intel right now, and actually used the dump yesterday to buy back my calls that I sold on Tuesday. So I'm looking for it to push again off this call entry essentially. But Intel, we did on Tuesday's live stream, spiked out of the gates, gave us the break above. Again, we talked about it on the 15-minute chart a second ago. Here we see it on the 5-minute chart, right? Spike into the upside, spike into the upside. Okay, we've got our confirmed break, but we're almost already halfway to PT1 for calls. Let's see if we get a back test, if it's moving that rapidly in a directional move. We got the back test, ultimately then pushed higher, then really ramped up to PT2 before rejecting going into the trading day yesterday and pulling back to the call entry. So this one could be a good buy the dip opportunity. We do have a little support resistance level here at 25.60 and the 200 SMA and NTS selling pressure kind of all hanging out right there in the same spot. So I would wait for that to clear out, 25.70 call it, see if we can get a good confirmed break of that. And then I think we might be good to rerun or replay this Intel trade plan. All right, let's get to some new trade plans. Sorry to keep y'all waiting so long, but we've had a lot of trade plans to review this morning. So let's get going. We had Rivian and Lucid from Alex. I think were the first ones that chimed in. Alex, do you have a preference between the two so I can spread the love to some other requests that we've got over in the Discord? I see we've got APLD, 2 people interested in that one. What's up, Trading Dad, SMCI? We can take a look at that one. Sorry I didn't get back to you yesterday. My day got totally crazy and went till like 8 o'clock in the evening just trying to make sure that all of my people are going to be able to continue to work for the next couple of days while they are not getting into the office. Like a foot, like literally a foot. Based on the accumulation that we measured, it was a literal foot of snow that is sitting outside right now. The whole outside of my house just looks like a big white blanket. All right, so I'm sorry, where were we at? We were doing Rivian or Lucid for Alex. Let's see, I think Lucid's kind of like in the $2 range. Okay, $3 range. So they're getting some love. Lucid would be an interesting one to do because it would be really cost effective for folks with smaller accounts to do it with shares if they wanted to. So let's go with volume's good there. Let me just take 5 days to the earnings on Lucid though. Oh, today earnings on Rivian. Let's do Lucid. It'll give it a little bit more time for the trade to play out. Could be traded with shares. So let's go with that between the two. What's up, Nordops? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. What's up, YB Skater? I see you in the mix as well. Mr. Adderall. I like that name. All right, let's go. So Lucid is one that, man, if I charted it, it was, yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I charted it a few times back in the day, but that's when it was trading at a much higher share price. So let me clean up this old stuff real quick. I promise to make it fast. Ooh, that's what she said. Sorry. Couldn't help myself. All right. There we go. Let's hide this stuff. Let's check out what Lucid's been doing down in this area that it's been relegated to is probably the right word for it. Nvidia and Microsoft, hide the pain. Are you in some painful trades on Nvidia and Microsoft, Nordops? All right, let's see. Just get some of these weekly levels now down. This is, yeah, all-time low, so we will want to flag that. Just know where it is. This is like, below this is death. You go to delisting land below 193. Yeah, I saw your requests, C Amigo. I'm not ignoring you, I promise, buddy. Although, I don't know what you got to do. I don't have you blocked or anything, but Discord has you blocked, which you are the only person I've ever seen in my many years of experience here at Xtrades. I don't think I've ever seen Discord flag somebody as a likely spammer. I don't know what you did to piss Discord off, bro. But I do unblock your messages so I can read them. But I don't know how to like force Discord to unblock it. I haven't also really looked into it that much either. So one of these days I will find the time to do that. But yeah, it's not me. It's Discord. Discord Amigo. Yeah, change it to Discord Amigo. Maybe they'll be nicer to you. Yeah, it's just I've never seen anything like it before. Like this is what I'll show y'all. I mean, I don't know if anybody else gets this. I've never ever in my life seen Discord do this. Like you literally have upset the Discord gods. Anyway, sorry, I digress. I thoroughly digress. In fact, let's get back on track. I just thought, I don't know if you need to like contact Discord support and be like, yeah, I'm like I'm being flagged as a spammer and I'm just talking in the chat. Maybe they think you're maybe they're of the consensus with some others that you are a paid agent for Nvidia. You're a plant. Or you're just very enthusiastic about a stock you love, which is okay. Just remember, marry the love of your life. Don't marry a stock. That's probably probably a new trading slogan, phrase that we should adopt. Marry the one you love. Don't marry a stock. Stocks are to be traded and profited from. Warren Buffett would disagree, and he is very successful, so what do I know? But even eventually, he eventually got a little bit of a divorce, or at least a temporary separation agreement with Apple. I know he's been offloading some of that. In fact, I think he offloaded a bunch. Didn't he offload a bunch of index stocks recently too? I think I saw an article about. I mean, it's easy to do that at any price level, especially all-time highs when you've been in since, 1940. However long he's been alive. All right. Kind of an interesting, weird little top right in here with Lucid. We'll want to pay attention to. All right, let's fast forward to the hourly. Let's throw our indicators on. Let's see what we see. I'm married to American Airlines and SPY. I mean, I get it. I guess be married to your investments, don't be married to a trade. I guess that is probably the better market slogan, right? Marry your investments, don't marry your trades. That's a fact. All right, let's see. What do we want to do with Lucid? I'm already liking this break below 319. Question is, where is the upside really get interesting? Two levels kind of stacked on top of each other here, with this daily level at 374 and the weekly at 363. Do we really start to... yeah, I think we do. I think it does open up some better measured moves for upside. I think what we could do... again, I'm filling in some blanks here as I look at this. I think we could stick with this 4-hour level actually as a stop loss, especially trading shares down there at 354. First target would be at 398. So about a 1-to-1 risk reward, maybe a little bit better than 1-to-1, but not dramatically. Second target, I'm already liking that 428 weekly level. Yeah, I say give it some room, especially if you take the approach of trading this plan with shares. 428, 443. Let's take a look at this. I mean, there's definitely a resistance there. But over that resistance, there's a pretty... well, hang on. Let me not get too far ahead of myself. Kind of reestablish some resistance before that. Yeah, I'd say take a shot at 449 over that. There is a pretty decent upside move, though. Whoa. Hello. Where's my alarm? Oh, God. I just need to remember to turn that off. That's gotten me 2 days in a row now. I think there's a bigger move up to 475. So keep that in mind. I think ultimately it does want to move to 475 if we get that break above 374, but there are some checkpoints along the way that I would not imagine it will just fly right through. All right. Downside, I've already flagged that 319 entry. I still like that. I also like this 285 PT1 264. I know that seems like small potatoes, but from a percent move, it's actually 10%. So it's a bigger move than it seems like, I know. And then ultimately, I think down to maybe slight adjustment on this daily level, down to 244. Stop loss for the downside plan, I think, needs to be eyeballing this daily level. Just don't want to get shook out. Yeah, I think we could give it a little bit more room. There's a level hanging out right in here that's just a little bit higher, but I think it's appropriate. So this one, again, probably a good one to take a shot at shares with if you want a little bit of practice trading shares, or just kind of get a sense for what it feels like, kind of not holding a ticking time bomb the way we are when we're trading options. I think this would be a good opportunity to do that. Just, load up on shares, spend roughly the same amount of money on buying shares that you would on buying options contracts. Load up a few hundred or thousand and let her rip. Let her rip, tater chip. Let's go. All right, so let me also include that fourth price target in the screenshot there, just in case folks want to really take a shot at it. Whoops. All right. So here is the Lucid live stream plan. Yeah, of course. Hey, Unique Visuals, good to see you. Please do MViz. Sure, you got it, buddy. All right, so let me get this posted in the Elite chat as well, so folks can refer to it in the rest of Discord. All right, so what are we looking for here on Lucid? We're looking for a break above 374. That should give us targets at 398, 428, and 449, with a stop loss average down at 354. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 319. That should give us targets at 285, 264, and 244, with a stop loss average down at 346. Don't forget about that extended target to the upside there at 475. Those are your Lucid trade plans. Let's go. All right. So what do we have next? We got a couple of people asking for APLD. So let's take a look at that. Not necessarily doing that in order, but we've had several people asking about it. Interesting PA. Chelsea Gathers. I have Celsius on my radar. Sure, I'll try to take a look at that, even if we don't do a full plan for you, Chelsea. I will try to at least take a look. Anyone I don't get a full plan on, I will try to, at the very least, give you all a quick read on what I see. All right, yeah, we've had a couple of people. I think Chris brought up APLD recently, actually. One question I do have, I forget. Yeah, Reply Digital. What do they do again? Trying to refresh my memory. Development, data centers, computing. Okay, cloud service, data center. Dallas, Texas. Texas is a very interesting place to run a data center. To me, in my opinion. I know there's probably advantages for state taxes and stuff like that to doing things in Texas, but man, your HVAC costs for cooling a data center in a place like Texas have to be through the mother effing roof. Like, that cannot be a cheap HVAC bill when you've got scorching hot Texas weather. I mean, and I guess they don't get a ton of really like major catastrophic weather events, but man, that HVAC bill has got to suck. I would think you'd go somewhere where it's more like temperate, but what do I know? I just employ data centers. I don't run them. Yeah, true. Yeah, Texas can get cold. That's right. It is possible. I guess it also depends on what part of Texas, and I'm probably being very small-minded about the fact that it's like every part of Texas is constantly blazing hot desert. That's not accurate. I know. I'm sure it has its advantages. All right, let's figure out what we're going to do with applied digital. Clearly there's a pretty interesting ceiling, prior support. It's hanging out somewhere. Maybe looking more like that. Sorry, I don't want to get us into a bad spot on kind of an iffy read of a key level here. I think it is a little bit more, yeah, I don't know. Could really 6 of one, half dozen of the other, this one. They look very close to kind of like 2 levels being somewhere in the mix right here, but we shouldn't be too far off to where 1138 I think will provide us a good entry. That's definitely an interesting level there. All right, cool. Sorry. Got a little bit into my internal monologue talking about where talking to myself about where I think these levels are and not realizing that I've got people listening to me. Like dead air. All right, I am just kind of finishing up these weekly levels though. That all looks pretty good. All right, let's make some tweaks, some adjustments. Yeah, it's just a little bit of a liquidity grab up there, which is kind of what I was thinking we would see on that weekly level. Can we adjust it down at all? Now that I think we've got a better read on things, I think the answer is yes. It can come down just a little bit, probably to right there. Let's see. Yep, that's about where I thought it would go. Okay, cool. Perfect. So, daily levels, we're not going to have any real data there. This is going to be all that we're going to have to work with. Something kind of hanging out right in here. That'll be one to watch. Really is kind of bigger, higher time frame moves though, for the most part up in this range. Yeah, we're not going to get a whole lot out of that. Okay, let's fast forward some then. All right. Definitely, without a doubt, looking for a break over 1126. 1023, we're a little bit of ways from that. But I think, yeah, I just don't see a better entry, if I'm being absolutely honest. I know, again, I'm asking for some patience, but patience will pay off, I truly believe. there is a 4-hour level right here that I think is going to make for a good stop loss. Whoops, wrong color. Yeah, 1049. So 1049 is kind of like the first level that needs to break. And this is how I wind up planning my trades sometimes. Oh, nice entry, Mondific. I like that. Yeah, this chart is a little bit hard to read. I don't disagree. So what I'm looking at is is there an entry from 1049 up to 1126? The answer is yes. What that does, though, is that ultimately this is a really good opportunity for me to talk a little bit about how to set up like a trade plan and do it based on the chart. So I'm going to take this opportunity. Sorry if I'm spending a little bit of extra time kind of talking educational stuff, but I think you'll thank me for it. So we kind of have two scenarios here, right? We could look at taking an entry over 1050 essentially for a move up to 1126. If we did that, I think we need to have a stop loss at 983, right? That's a potential upside move that could play out based on the price action. So what does that put us at? Puts us barely above a 1-to-1 risk reward. So not terrible, not great, right? If we're just a little bit more patient and we don't rush into this trade, because there are some potential opportunities I see for rejections prior to 1126. I think it would get there, but it's a little bit iffier, right? I would rather flip this from being a potential entry and looking and being a little bit more patient, waiting for this 1126 to break. Then I can use what would have been an entry here as a stop loss, right? So this no longer becomes a factor in the plan. And if I do that, that gives me room up to 1250. So if I look at this trade setup from a planning standpoint, I like this plan a lot more, because it puts us at about a 1.6 to 1, so significantly better than a 1-to-1. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit on that. Let's pull this down just a little bit. I don't want to fudge the numbers, but it's still going to be 1.5 or better, right? And those, 0.3 in the risk reward column makes a difference if that's how you're planning all your trades. So that's kind of my thought process and why I'm picking those levels. So anyway, I just kind of saw an opportunity where it's like, could we get in sooner? Yeah, I think there's a play there from 1049 to 1126. And if you want to take it, right? I'm not, they're both key levels. I think that will work out, but we don't have to be in a rush to get in, right? And I think the bigger, more advantageous move happens over 1126, and then we can flip that potential entry level to being a stop loss level. So just a quick peek into the mind of JTW, I guess, or JT, whatever I'm going by these days on Discord. It's all the same. All right. There are some, I think, big moves that happen though over 1126, like an upside move really gets going. And probably doesn't really hit major. Well, yeah, 1504 is probably going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think there's potentially a move up to 1689 as well. But again, let's stick to not being too greedy, and we'll leave our planned PT3 at 1504. I'll just kind of float this out here. Maybe I'll leave it on the chart in case somebody wants to watch it. All right, so that's the upside trade plan on APLD, Applied Digital. Let me just check the indicators, make sure. Yeah, I was going to say I don't expect there to be anything upside that's going to be too problematic on any of these time frames. So downside, where does that become interesting? And let me just get my bearings from a price action standpoint. Yeah, I was already eyeballing this level. I'm seeing more and more that says this is where downside really opens up and gets more interesting. first target. Yeah, I'd have it down here at about 845. Below that, and on this weekly level, yeah, it needs to be adjusted just a little bit. 757. Below that, let's fill in this last blank. Could it be... Let's see if this hits where I think it's going to hit. Yep. 656. Stop loss for this downside plan. Eyeballing 991. Could maybe give it just a little bit more room. I don't want us getting artificially stopped out, but not much more room. 996 probably the furthest I would give that based on the price action I'm seeing. Let's see how that stacks up. Not terribly. See where that Neptune flag moves to. 15 minutes probably. Yeah, would put us on a break below. Flipping things, starting to flip things to the downside on a couple of factors there. On the 15-minute, hourly gives us some room down before the 200 SMA to get to PT1. So, all right, cool. This is the APLD trade plan. Oh man, it's almost 9:20. Okay, I'm gonna have to really fly through giving you guys some quick inputs on this other stuff. My apologies, I didn't realize how much time I'd spent on that. All right, and in the elite chat. All right, so let's talk through this real quick. What are we looking for here on APLD? We are looking for a break above 1126. We're waiting for that bigger move to the upside. That should give us targets at 1250, 1343, and 1504 with the stop loss average down at 1049. Another way to approach this, if you do want to take the less favorable risk-reward route starting off, would be taking that break above 1049, first target 1126, and then targets above as you see listed. I would put the stop loss at 996 on that trade plan. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 936. That should give us targets at 845, 757, and 656 with a stop loss average down at that 996 level I just mentioned. That's APLD. All right, let me see if I can give some quick reads on things for these other ones that we've got dropped in the mix that I haven't had a chance to get to. Trading Dad asked about SMCI. SMCI is absolutely cruising. Looks good. I mean, we've got the support that it just broke over and back tested daily level here at 5281. This looks like a really interesting level though, 5544. I think that could be a good buy the dip level if it gets there. Stop loss at 5281, below 5281. I think it plays to the downside. And stop loss at 5544, right? So mark those levels down on your chart. We can even talk about this a little bit when we do your mentoring session. I know we need to get that scheduled. I'll DM you about it today. We'll get it like locked in. We'll pick a day at a time and we will not waver from that. First target, if you do play the upside, I would say would be around this, pretty close to the 6101 level. I might want to go back and look at some more price history on that, but I don't have time. So just a quick eyeball read. Yeah, right at about, call it 6083. And then first target to the downside, I would say would be 4802. So that's a quick read on SMCI for you there. Trading Dad, let's take a quick look. I've had a couple of people ask about NVIDIA. Curling to the upside. bouncing off of this Neptune flag here. This 141.67 is a key level. So I think it needs to break that for another retest of 143.47. If it breaks that and goes for that test, pretty much a 1-to-1 setup there. You could trade it with a 141.67 entry, 140.11 stop loss, and 143.47 PT1. Over 143.47 though, I think it does really open up some good moves to the upside. Probably that level looks a little off. Either I plotted it off or price action has shifted a little bit, but I would say the next target over that would be this 145.92. Kind of flag these levels real quick. So yeah, and then over that 147.80 looks pretty bullish to me though. It's just dealing with some, just filled this gap, which, I'm not surprised we saw a pullback and kind of new consolidation, a new base forming. Looks maybe a little tiny bit like an inverse head and shoulders. Not a super clear neckline, at least not on the hourly here, but kind of sort of gives a little bit of inverse head and shoulder vibes there. So let's see, MSTR, again, I don't have CELH, actually, sorry, that was asked for first, and I really do need to go get the SPY plan put together. I'll give you a quick read on CELH, though. Oh, this one's really fallen from grace. CELH looks like a good base of support right around 24.88. Needs to hold that. Still kind of looks pretty bearish, even though it's breaking above some stuff here. SMAs are still inverted. Starting to curl to the upside, though. So this one looks a little bit mixed. Definitely looks interesting for an upside move, though, if it can break that high a day yesterday there at 26.27. I think over that, it could make a move up to that 28.32 level I've got marked on my chart. So anyway, some quick levels to mark down, keep on watch. So pay attention to those. Make sure you set alerts on your charts, all that good stuff. With that being, what was that? Please do MViz, just a quickie. Sure, I'll take a quick look for you. Set my stock. MViz, it's at $2. Jeez Louise. Buy it. This one used to trade like in the $5 range, didn't it? Let's see. I mean, it's on a pretty wild pump here the last couple of days. I'm guessing that's news related. It looks a little bit overextended already, though. Take a look at the 15-minute. It's getting some crossovers here on the 15-minute. So, I mean, looks pretty good for continuation as long as it holds somewhere in this 180 to 168, so 170 to 180 range. It needs to hold that, and it can continue higher. Below that, it starts to get caught in the doldrums of $1.50 or less share price. That, man, it is really, MViz really struggling. So anyway, that's my quick read on it. Average is still 235, and you have about 1,000 shares. Okay. Yeah, it's in a tough spot. It's definitely super beat up. Those are the key levels to watch. I think for you to get back closer to your break-even price, you got to break this pre-market high, obviously, and then you could potentially wind up, going positive on your share price. So keep an eye on it. Yeah, best of luck. All right, I got like almost no time to get the SPY plan put together and get alerts set on it, so I really have to fly. Thank you all so much for joining me. As always, we will be back next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern.